You know, Vishal, one of the things I want to talk to you about is the GST rollout. And so far, it's been largely smooth, but the real test is going to be when the filings start to take place. And the test will be on the 20th of August when the first phase kicks off.
Yeah.
All set?
So far, so good. You know, fingers crossed. We have, if you look at the journey so far, we have had quite an extensive usage of the system. I get a daily report.
So what are the kind of numbers that we're currently doing?
About 1 million logins per day, 1.2 million logins per day, which is not a small number,
Yeah.
you know, and we have seen peak concurrent users around 30,000. So this is so far all the indicators are okay, nothing alarming. But you know, it's an incredibly complex system. It is an incredibly large-scale system. This is 30,000 concurrent users. We talk about it like, I mean, this is a pretty serious number. You know, I come from a database background, and
but at least as far as Form 3D is concerned, is everything all set for the 20th of August?
The teams are working incredibly hard, and yeah, we are. As time goes by, obviously, this is look, in a complex system like this, there is the chances that something will go wrong are 100%. There is a very, very high likelihood that somewhere along the line things will go wrong. Therefore, the way you have to optimize this is you have to make sure that the teams are ready with extremely agile processes to make sure that we can respond to the crisis as quickly as possible. And that is the design principle.
You know, speaking of the environment, and we heard you talk about the BFSI space, not as per your expectations largely on account of what we saw happen in the US, but do you now get a sense that perhaps the second half is going to be better?
Yeah, I think that our visibility is getting better. See, it is more a function of the fact that once the governmental changes happened, the administration change in the US happened, the focus, the priorities went from regulatory-oriented spend towards innovation-oriented spend, and so you have to respond to that, and that response takes some time. I think that banks are clearly looking at spending in some of these new areas and innovative areas, new experiences, new offerings, better performance in trading and so forth. Our team here has put together an incredible game around investing that we have done for one of the BFSI customers. So my sense is that things are improving. Our visibility in the second half is somewhat better.
Okay.
And you know, but that is all reflected in the guidance. And we have a very, very capable team leading BFSI under Mohit's leadership. So we feel very good about our prospects.
Since you talked about leadership, and we have seen changes that have happened, even though you believe that this is part of the natural attrition for a company. But in terms of bringing new people on board, how soon can we expect some of these positions to be filled up?
It's happening constantly. Yeah. It is just not reported. It is happening continuously. If you look at earlier today, I just met 3 of the folks who just joined us in our digital experience team, senior leaders in the digital strategists as well as in sales leadership positions. Inderpreet just joined us as our new general counsel. So we are constantly hiring new people, but somehow the focus is not on that.
A lot of the focus over the last several months has been on what has been happening outside of the operational issues at Infosys. You know what I'm talking about. The last interview that Mr. Murthy gave us, he said that he regrets leaving in 2014. As you sit here today, how do you respond to something like that? How do you then start to even move forward when you hear something like that?
I don't know what he meant. I don't know the context in which he said what he said. So I don't want to second guess that. Obviously, it is his prerogative. When we started, when Mr. Kamath became the chairman, Mr. Murthy's last board meeting as chairman was in October, and that was my first board meeting as CEO. And then from that point onward, Mr. Kamath was the chairman, and this was something that we had very consciously established as an independent board and a professional management taking over from a founder-led board and a founder-led management. So that's a big change, and at the time, it's the nature of our brains that we forget how things were at the time, at a certain time, and we don't remember the contexts in which our memories are formed and so on. it was a different time. It was a difficult time for the company at the time, and our growth rate was a fraction of the growth rate of the industry. There was very high attrition. We were talking about attrition earlier and people leaving. My goodness, the number of title holders, people with AVP or above titles who were leaving in those days was ridiculous. And similarly, most of the senior executives, either by design or on their own, had left. And so there was this tremendous sense of anxiety in the company. And I think 3 years later, we can look back on it and form a different perspective. But we shouldn't forget where we are coming from. It has been quite an amazing journey in these last 3 years.
One of the things that the street is waiting for clarity on, and you talked about this when you presented your results, is the buyback. You're waiting for the regulatory approvals from the SEC, and that's because the ADR is about 17% of the company. What exactly is holding this up? How confident do you feel that you will get in the approvals from the SEC?
I feel good about it. I think Ranga is here. We should ask him. I feel good about it, but I mean, we have to comply with the regulatory authorities, and this was a case where multiple regulations, given the local shareholder interests, were not, aligned with across the agencies, and so we have to find it.
Is there any indication of the timeline? I mean, can we expect the approvals to come in, say, over the next few weeks, or perhaps even sooner?
I don't know. We have to ask Ranga that. He has been working on it night and day, and my sense is that it will happen soon, but I don't want to speculate on that.
So let me end then, Vishal, by asking you, you've had a strategy meeting with the board. Is there a alignment with the vision that you have for the company and the vision that the board has for the company? And in terms of actionable agenda from here on, clearly you don't believe that the company will have much of a future if you only focus on the run side of the business, so which is why the focus and the investment is on new services. But what can we now expect as you start your fourth year here at Infosys?
I think that there is a very strong alignment in the board with the strategy that I have laid out. We had a long session on this in July. The elevation of our endeavor, of our effort towards new services, towards software amplified services, and towards elevating the relationship towards strategic relationship with clients, not just responding to RFPs and things like this. There is a very deep commitment in the board that it's an increasingly automation-led future, a software-led future, a digital future. Steve Jobs used to say this, that the important thing in life is to remember that everything around us was built by people who are no superior to us. And I've been trying to create that atmosphere inside the company without losing the core values of who we are. And on that, I feel good about what we have done.
You have to give up on the 2020 aspiration and target that you had set out for the company. But is there now a new plan or a new target, a new goal that you would like to set?
I mean, it was, again, looking back 3 years, back in October of 2014 when I first said that, it was an aspiration to help the company, look at something that we can all get excited about. It was never a financial target. Our guidance and everything, I have done hundreds of meetings with shareholders and investors, and it has never been a financial target. It is only last year when somehow my compensation got linked to it that all this drama started around this. And it has never been a financial aspiration. So how the board decides to link my compensation to different targets is up to them. This is not something that I worry about. We used to have many years ago, we used to have a goal to get to 10 billion by 2010. And that was never, we have to separate the fact that what is a financial aspiration, what's something that you're setting up as an audacious goal for the company from the guidance that we provide to the financial markets and so forth. So these are very independent things.
Given the fact that it's been fairly vicious, for the lack of a better word, last few months, do you still have the appetite to want to compete?
Obviously when I talk to the investors and institutional shareholders and so forth, there is a very strong sense of support for what we are trying to do. And I think obviously because there is no other way when I look at the future and when you see what is happening in the world around us, and then at the AGM we saw a very strong support also from the retail shareholders. And as Ravi Venkatesan said recently, there are always any voices of dissent, especially when they come from promoters, we listen to them very carefully and we try to address them. But in the end, I'm here to do, what I believe is the right thing to do for the company, and to do that for all the shareholders, for all the employees, for all of our clients. And I feel good about the atmosphere that the support that I have from the board, and as long as I can do that, it's good.
So let me end then by asking you, Vishal, do you feel confident about 2017 being better than the previous year?
Yeah, definitely. Better than, the guidance is what we have given, 6.5 to 8.5, and what do you mean by better than the previous year?
No, obviously,
in terms of
performance metrics, and of course being able to, make this cultural shift, which is also sort of underway, and friction that's been caused on account of several decisions that have been taken and several decisions that have been questioned, etc.
So you have to separate the financial performance and the strategic objectives. In terms of financial performance, the guidance is what we have given, 6.5 to 8.5, and we feel good about that for now. And if there is any change for the, then we'll obviously share that as and when that becomes available. I think that in terms of being able to transform the company towards the next generation services company without abandoning our core of who we are, I feel much better about that.
Well, Vishal, it's always a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you very much for joining us here.
Great to see you here today.
And to be here at the Palo Alto headquarters of Infosys. But
the famous, Palo Alto office. It's a small office here, and I hope you can see some of the projects.
Yes, absolutely. On that note, it is time for us to say goodbye. Thanks very much for watching.